Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wrestling News Weekly. This is, of course, my name is Nick, and as always, I'm joined by my buddy Myron.
Myron Maverick here, folks. It sure is glad to be a part of your program. What's going on? How you doing today, Nick?
Man, I would tell you that I can't complain, but I just sit here and complain to you for probably a half an hour before we started recording, right?
Well, that's the way it goes. You know, it's is it Monday or Wednesday? I can't remember anymore. But yes, it's Wednesday. Time for the Wrestling News Weekly.
Well, man, there's a bunch of stuff going on, but I know everybody's going to ask, when are we going to jump into the Rumble stuff? But let's get all this other non-WWE news out of the way like we always do. And let's start, man. This is the XFL. The news just keeps coming, man. 2020 is when it's coming. You know, I do want to say for all the complaining and stuff like that, kudos. I wanted to back up and say something. I had an argument with somebody, and they were like, you know, it's going to hurt the WWE. Okay, first of all, it has nothing to do with WWE, so that's not going to hurt the WWE.
Yeah, I think it's going to be different this time.
Well, look, I'm not sitting here and telling the world that it's going to succeed. That's not what I'm saying. This is from a sheer wrestling fan part. It's completely separated from the WWE. And let's be blunt. I don't know if you're a stockholder or not, but the freaking stock has gone up since he's made this announcement.
That's good.
I mean, it's up to, as of the last time I looked, which was Tuesday night, it was up to $35 a share. Now, I ain't giving money away or anything, but a few years ago when I bought my shares, they were at $11. So, I'm just saying. I know, to me, the stock is a $30 stock in the long run. That's what I always tell everybody. They're like, that's kind of the wheelhouse where that stock belongs, I believe. Yeah. But my point being is it's not going to affect WWE. The $100 million is Vince McMahon's money. It is not WWE financing it. So that needs to go away. That whole argument, it's going to hurt the WWE, needs to stop.
Well, you know, I heard that this time they're not going to even use WWE people like they did last time.
Right.
You've heard the Bruce Pritchard show where he went on and on about how he had to go in and do the interviews with the talent and stuff, and it's not going to be like that this time. According to them, it's going to be straight up a promotion on its own. So that sounds good. Right.
It's going to be run by Alpha Entertainment, which is a total separate entity, which is a beautiful thing in my opinion. And you know, he's taking his time. He's going to, and you know, last time they rushed it, it was like within months they were up and running. And then my other thing that, you know, I said to somebody, why do you care? It's his money. If he wants to, if it's something he's passionate about and he wants to do, it's his $100 million. Let him do it. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, fair enough.
God forbid somebody, you know, is trying to be entrepreneurial and, you know, he's got a track record of, you know, sure that, you know, a couple things he's done, you know, the WBF or IBF, whatever the hell that bodybuilding thing he did was. And then the first time the XFL went around, didn't work. But it's like I said, it's his money. Let it, you know, it's just leave him alone.
Hey, look at Amazon. They've thrown a couple of turds out there, and they continue to keep throwing stuff out there, and they get success, and it's great when they succeed. And he's doing the same thing. You know, he has to throw out an Amazon phone or something like that to fail. Everybody who's in serious entrepreneurial stuff is going to try and fail, but they're going to keep trying, and that's what he's doing. He's going to keep putting something out there, and you got to do that if you want to succeed in business. You have to find exactly what the people want. This is his second try. Well, he wants to do this.
And that's actually one of the things in his statement that he made was that he is going to, you know, have, you know, take emails and questionnaires and surveys and, you know, what are the fans looking for? Because they're going to try to do it the way the fans want. Because let's be honest with you, the NFL's taken a hit this year, as far as viewership goes. Now, we're not getting into the politics of it or whatever it is. It's a fact. The ratings are what they are. Part of his thing was he's saying now this time around though, there's no gimmicks. It's not going to be the, you know, WWE football. It's going to be a completely separate real football league with, they're going to simplify the rules. Cause let's be honest with you, is a catch a catch? How many times have we had that argument, you know, when it is, you know, and then, you know, speeding up the game, and we've heard things of like no halftime, maybe shortened quarters, you know, a million things to speed up a game. Because I do want to make this joke because it is pretty funny. He said it's very hard to sit there and watch a 3.5 hour football game. And Vince, you're talking to people who sat there and watched your 3 hour and 15-minute wrestling show, on Monday night. So I just kind of find that humorous.
I can see that. He's got a point there. Even if we take out the joke about the 3 hour Raw, or 3 hour and 15-minute Raw, not 3 hour, 3 hour and 15-minute. If we take all that out and not even think about that, a football game can be excessively long. And people aren't geared like that, especially because if he's trying to gear this show to an internet audience or a younger people audience that does not have the attention span to sit through a whole football game. You and I can sit through a whole football game because we've been football fans our entire lives. And it's just natural. We've just been doing this forever, and we're older. It might be the kind of thing where a short game with a soccer-like pace, where there's whatever splits they do or something faster, draws more attention,
I think we can sit there and watch a 3 hour game because we can pace our drinking better than the younger audience. They're power drinking, and they're done in they can't get to the end of the game. Whereas we can pace ourselves.
If you're passed out by halftime, you're no good.
Right. Pace yourself, kids. There's an important lesson to be learned there. But speaking of drinking, one of the things they talked about was no criminality in the game. No, if you got a criminal record, and that he said that included DUIs, DWIs, whatever state you live in.
That's a tough one.
Man, that's going to be real hard to pull off.
I mean, because you're going to get basically an honor society. You're going to have people. God, think about how many guys in college get a DUI or get caught with a little bit of pot or kiting a bad check. It's going to be tough. Grabbing
some crab legs out of Publix and running out
with them. Grabbing the crab legs. That's always a big one.
Here's my rule, and I always joked about this when it comes to football. And Jesus, are we talking about football for way too long on our show, right?
It's the week before the Super Bowl. I mean, we gotta get something.
You want your quarterback to be with a clean record. Your defensive linemen and your linebackers, I like them a little on the nasty side. So having a little bit of and again, I'm not talking anything violent or anything.
Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking coked up meth heads or anything like that, but I'm just saying, I like a little bit of a nasty streak in my defensive players, but my quarterback, I want him to be, straight arrow, Gennaro kind of thing, but, so we'll see though, man. I'm a little excited. Hopefully, this 2020 date gives them a little bit of time to figure out what they want to do it right. And get all the cities determined and get the teams.
Yeah, I will say one thing about the cities. This has been proven time and time again. If you put a team in Birmingham, Alabama, your league will fold. Seriously. I grew up in Birmingham. You had the USFL, the XFL, the World League of American Football, and the damn Canadian Football League came down there and they were out after a season, but the league still existed. All those other leagues went belly up. Don't put a team in Birmingham. Nobody in Birmingham wants to watch professional football. They've got probably the best rivalry college football in the world in Alabama, and they're not interested in professional football. So my advice is don't put another team in Birmingham. It's just not going to work.
And just stay out of Alabama because nobody wants to go there.
Well, no, you're not going to get anybody coming in from out of state because it's fucking Alabama. I mean, it'd be nice if we had a professional football team in Atlanta.
We do, Myron.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Shit. Okay, so yes. Maybe Charlotte. Does they have a professional football team?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm running out of places to put it, Nick.
I mean, there's places. But like...
I'm not driving all the way to Macon.
Macon doesn't need a team. That sounds a whole. I mean, they'll figure it out. I mean, it's going to be a spring league. It's not going to play at the same time as the NFL. They're going to pick, not necessarily college stadiums, but, like soccer thing. I know Georgia Tech wouldn't be bad because they don't really have a real team either, so they could have somebody play on that football field.
Oh, that's the oldest college football.
Yeah, exactly. Anywho, but man, good luck. We hope, we will hopefully they'll pull something off and this will be successful and, we'll have an alternative to get us through the spring, right? Before we get back to college football in the fall again.
Yeah, I'm giving them a fair chance. Get out there and captivate me. I'll start watching the games. I'll see what you got.
Yeah.
I'll buy some merch. Go ahead. Let's see what we can do. But, I mean, don't invest in this and get me all excited and then just disappear like you did last time. I need a little bit of proof that you're going to stick with it. You know, I just don't want to see it go away again. But then I've got a bunch of hats for teams and leagues that don't exist anymore.
Those are classics.
Yeah.
But you'll watch.
Yeah, I'll watch. I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of watching and giving it a shot, man, I know we're not going to talk a long time about it, but I was psyched they finally dropped the full trailer for the April 10th. It's Tuesday, April 10th, 10 p.m. HBO's Bill Simmons' Andre the Giant documentary's coming out, man, and we've been pumped about this for a while.
Yeah, it looked really good. I'm excited, you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, man. To see, you got Billy Crystal and, you got Lawler and you got, all these, and Hogan, I'm sure is going to be on there. But all the names, discussing the man, the myth, the legend. Isn't that what their little tag thing was?
Yeah.
The Giant, kind of thing. Andre the Giant. So, man, I'm excited. I didn't want to talk about it a lot. I just want, drop the time and the date and everything out there because I know people are going to be looking forward to this one.
Yeah. Well, they did such a good job with that kind of stuff. And then they put out these promos that if you've ever saw Andre as a kid or you ever were any kind of a fan of wrestling, the promo just grabs you. And I think that's going to be awesome. I'm really, really psyched just watching that promo. So, yeah. I can't wait.
Cannot wait. Well, speaking of another big thing that happened this week in wrestling, man, and it's, people have been waiting since June for this to happen. They started planting the seeds back in New Japan, and this week, Cody finally attacks Kenny Omega.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, good for business, man.
Well,
good for business.
The internet was buzzing the next day. It was on night 2 of their New Beginning show. Jay White had defeated Omega for the U.S. title, which was stunning to me. I mean, it was, that. I don't say that quick, but that he lost. Everybody, of course, immediately went into he's going to show up at the Rumble, which we're going to discuss in a minute. But man, then it was just the whole. They kind of get him in the ring, and then the Bucks. There's the miscommunication with them, and all that. And then of course Cody and Adam Page are going to hit him with a chair, and Ibushi makes the save. And we were talking about this because you were saying like, oh man, they can maybe use this for the U.S. show coming out in California this coming up.
Yeah. And
I was like, dude, can they drag this out to the All In show with Cody and Kenny?
They can do this, man. This is going to be a classic rivalry. It's your straight-laced Japanese-Canadian guy, basically, from the nice part, and you got your dirty American heel with the blonde hair and the beautiful wife and all that. Cody is perfect for this. This is a rivalry I will think that will really put Cody in a position where he is going to be a top player. Just a top player. So this is going to be good for Cody. It's going to be good for Kenny. And when they start trying to push into America, they've got name recognition and faces right up there at the front. They've got a main rivalry. They've got the settings for an entire storyline. They'll tell how long they go with this. And was it September we're looking at for the big show?
Yeah, as of right now, that's what they're saying.
I think they can drag this to September. A good rivalry and everything going on like this, and have it on 2 continents, that's a pretty impressive idea. They can take this and run it to major shows, run it all over the world, and come back, and then have your big blow off at All In, and that would be a massive ticket draw.
Yeah, we're talking months that you can drag. Because think about this: you can play the. I don't want to say this, but because it's true. You can run the gambit of the old Horseman stuff where Kenny's got to go through Skrull, he's got to go through Page, he's got to go through the Bucks, and he's got to go through. Then he finally gets to Cody at the end.
Mm-hmm. And every time they do these bits, they're basically advertising their All-In show. They're putting their names out there so that people recognize their names more when they start talking about the All-In show. So I think it would be awesome. I think it's the best thing I can do right now.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see where it goes. I know you are, but people have been excited and waiting, and I know you actually were totally marked out by Drake Maverick debuting
Drake Maverick
on 205 Live. They officially have the new GM, and everybody's going, who the hell is Drake Maverick? If you did not watch it, Drake Maverick is Rockstar Spud.
I thought that was the guy that shot JR.
It was a girl that shot JR.
It sounds like a soap opera character. It's perfect, man.
He sounds like a daytime soap guy is what it sounds like.
Yes. Spud is so perfect for this kind of thing. And you get that whole, I am the general manager. This is going to go on and on and on. And eventually they're going to draw the general manager into a storyline where he's going to have to wrestle. And you get your big payoff with Spud ready to go and wrestling. It's going to be great. They've done this so many times in the promotions where they use the commissioner. Then they don't get any contact on him until the rivalry's at the big thing, and you draw up this big payoff based on this commissioner guy. He announces a 16-man tournament with the finals at WrestleMania. Your first night, TJP goes over Tyler Bate, the Golden Boy Tyler Bate, winner of the UK Classic. I don't understand that booking, but all of a sudden, it's if you can see a guy like that losing to TJ, is he TJP or is he
TJP?
Okay, TJP is going to be his name now. It's like, okay, anybody can lose in this. Anybody can win. And then you got next week, you're going to have the debut of Roderick Strong. So you're going to have Roderick Strong. You're going to have Rockstar Spud. You're going to have Hideo Itami. I don't think Cedric. They're going to miss Cedric. Mm-hmm. Not going to be missing Enzo Amore.
Well, that was actually my comment, was the one big plus of bringing in Spud, I'm going to call him Spud for a while, out of habit, I'm sure, is that he does help bring that personality and the character that you lose when the Enzo stuff went down and he went away. So I'm really excited that at least they kind of, recovered that part that they felt like they lost. And when it comes to work rate, I mean, if you're going to bring in a Roderick Strong and, like I said, even Tyler Bate making appearances, like, you ain't because Enzo had I'm not kicking a man while he's down, but his wrestling skills were not near, because he was there for his promo. And
Spud's got a good promo and he can wrestle.
Right. So, I think that's a good void filler for Enzo going away. Now, I'm sure they would have wished that he was still there and they had Rockstar Spud in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because can you imagine that back and forth on the mic with those two eventually, and that's maybe Drake Maverick was supposed to eventually face Enzo, down the road. Who knows?
Yeah,
that wouldn't be a bad gig.
This is cool, man. I didn't even see this coming. I'm like, man, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Helms? At one time they were going to. Summer Rae was slated to be the commissioner for 205, and then she got released. And then I was like, it's going to be it's Mysterio. Be a great job for Mysterio. And then Mysterio's like, I don't want a full-time schedule. Well, even if you're a GM, you'd still have to be on a full-time schedule because you still have to travel with the program.
Why? They do a show once a week. It's an hour.
Yeah, but you still have to go town to town.
Why? He does have to do live events.
Well, maybe not.
You could tape. Any appearances by a GM you could tape and put up on the board and. So anyway, we have Drake Maverick / Rockstar Spud as the deal, and so that's kind of where we're going. Super excited he's there. We're glad he debuted. And he, obviously he left Impact, and showed up here, which is where we head next. Impact Alley, I like to call it, when we kind of usually have a run of Impact news. Not as much this week, believe it or not. But by the way, because if you want all the in-depth stuff, where do they go, Myron?
They go to the Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast, Impact Edition, with your host, Lewis Carlin. Yep. The man knows Impact better than anybody, and soon to be in the same country as Impact when they move to Canada. We've got our correspondent right there on their country, or whatever you call Canada.
Yeah.
He's nearby.
And it airs on Mondays, 7:05 p.m. Check it out. The Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast, Impact Edition. And he's cranking out some stuff, man. That's the crazy part too. He's got some big interviews coming.
God, I've got a list of his itinerary and his schedule and his bookings, and it's like, how in the hell is Lewis doing this? Where's this coming from? I mean, the guy has to be being an insider now. Would you say he's an insider with all this information? He's getting all this talent.
I would go with that, man. I'd agree with you.
He's got to have contact somewhere, man, because these people are just coming out of the woodwork to talk to Lewis.
And we're always happy when they jump on board with the Tapped Out Podcast Network.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, back to Impact Alley. 310,000 people watched it, up from 309. Small bump for their little Genesis episode they aired.
Yeah.
Best number they've done since August 17th. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that card was headlined by Eli Drake over Johnny Impact and Alberto. If you want, like I said, if you want the full breakdown to that, go back and check it out. Last week's episode aired on Monday. You can hear the recap of that whole show. We just like to give that a little bit of news. The reason why we were kind of talking Impact a little bit here was I know a lot of people are overlooking it, in my opinion, but there was a move that happened this week. Jeremy Borash has left Impact. Now, I don't know if he left. His contract was, whatever. But I know he's moved on, and now he's with WWE, and I was telling people, can he be replaced in Impact? Sure he can. But you can never have too many smart people, with good ideas in your back. Yeah. And he did a lot of backstage stuff. I mean, people don't realize how key he was in the whole creation or, of the broken universe when they were there.
You can't underestimate the value of the backstage people. Just helping put things together, helping the characters get developed, facilitating production. And this guy basically has been there, and he's ate, for lack of a better way to put it, he's ate a lot of shit sandwiches and done his best to turn this thing around and gone through so many hardships. If he's the kind of guy that you put him at in front of unlimited money and no competition, imagine what he's going to be able to do. And he could make a spot in NXT to free up Triple H to go take over the big show if McMahon's going away. If McMahon's going to sell or McMahon's going to retire, now Triple H would be freed up. They wouldn't have to have Triple H in NXT. He could be running the whole show up the stairs, too.
Yeah, and that's where, rumors are that's where he's heading. He's going to go down to NXT, right?
Yep.
And going to do some work down there, and I think it's a great opportunity. I don't know if he's commentating as at this moment, but he would do well on the commentary table. But being backstage, I think, too, is a good place for him. He can help develop some of this young talent, production-wise, gimmicks, and, all that kind of stuff. So, and like I said, I know everybody, when I posted that, a couple people were like, whoa, big deal. And I'm like, I'm not saying that it's irreplaceable and it's going to devastate, Impact. But, I mean, just as a whole, I'm just saying,
Well, they still had plans for him. He had an itinerary of things he's going to be doing. Even on Twitch, he was going to be doing stuff. He was going to be on television, out front more. Like, not a personality on TV, but with the team for the Impact shows. I don't know what his situation with contracts was or where it was going. Or maybe he felt with the two new guys they brought in, maybe he felt he was
not necessary,
or he felt maybe he was no longer going to be as big a part, or he might not be in a position where he could negotiate anymore. So maybe he just wanted to get out and try something different. But there's a lot of changes being made in Impact. They're going to be good changes, and we'll see how this goes without him. They've got some really good people there now. 2 years ago, yes, this would have been crippling. You might as well just took Impact off the table. Now, maybe not. You've got a new Impact. You got a new Impact going to Canada. You got new people on creative. It might be the best thing for him and them. So it's good to see. It's good to see, and we'll find out how this goes.
I mean, because everybody's, I know the buzz, this isn't even on our notes. We were talking about this. I know with Borash leaving that, I know they've lost, Lashley, EC3, Storm recently. They're going to reload. There's a bunch of talent coming in. And a matter of fact, we were just talking about our insider, Lewis. I mean, he sent me, some stuff that I can't even say on the air of things, coming into Impact that kind of had me excited. New faces, new factions, and some things like that. So keep an eye. They're going to be okay. They're going to be fine.
Ratings are going up. They're distinguishing themselves as a different promotion. They're bringing in new talent, new faces, new backstage creative people. It looks good for them, and they're going to be a company that's basically rebranding, even though they've rebranded their name 1,000 times lately. They're basically going to change the face of what they are and try something new. And I applaud them for trying it. I applaud them for the talent they're bringing in. It's going to be a great place. You know, they've fixed those contracts where they're not as bad. You're going to be able to work an indie roster some. To me, that's the perfect setup for a wrestler that's not on the WWE roster. You got a contract with somebody, you can work there on a regular basis. You also can pick indie dates. It's a good thing for wrestling when you've got things set up like this.
I agree with you. But man, let's start pushing the gas and getting into some of the WWE stuff. I know this one hit close to home to you. I wanted to ask you about it real quick. This week, of course, they announced the Hall of Fame, and the Dudleys are this week's new entrants.
Yes, I was so glad to hear that they'd went and picked someone I would agree with now. I just could not go after the Goldberg thing. I'm like, oh God, not this crap again. But now we got the Dudleys in there, man. This is a much better field. Two guys that are just solid wrestlers. They've been everywhere. They've done everything. Probably the greatest tag team of all time. And if they're not the greatest tag team of all time, they've got to be in everybody's top 5. So, yeah, it's a good position for them. It takes off the pressure that they had to put the Midnight Express in this year. You know,
I still think they should, but that's a different argument.
Oh, I do too. But you know, if they're gonna, there was that question: are they going to do it this year or not? But they bring in a tag team, so it's off the table right now. You know, it's a different situation, and they've got a lot to do. I mean, these guys need to be in the Hall of Fame. They're two of the greatest to ever wrestle, one of the best tag teams, innovators from ECW, worked all over the world. I'm really happy to hear this. This is my favorite news so far. Well, I can't wait to hear who's next.
Well, they were on our list last year when we did the show of, like people that should be in that weren't in. They were obviously on our list. Mm-hmm. But so that'll kill that one on if we, when we do that show this year, then we'll, definitely have to be like, well, they can't go on the list anymore. But let's jump on now. Other doom and gloom news out of WWE. By the way, I'm being sarcastic here because I want to prove it wrong. The Mixed Match Challenge, man, it took off like fire, right? Everybody was all on board.
Yeah.
Week 2 comes out. The Miz and Asuka wrestle Big E and Carmella. And, now and then last, obviously, like Tuesday night, Bliss and Strowman wrestle Lynch and Zayn. And this is kind of how I get frustrated with some of the doom and gloom, this, that, and the other with the wrestling media and the fans. They say it peaked at, watch time. The first one peaked at 135,600. We've talked about that. Second one was around 92,000. And then Tuesday night's episode peaked at 62,400. Mm-hmm. So everybody's like, oh, see, nobody's watching. Slow down. Because if we did it a little bit different, because it is on Facebook, by the way, you don't have to watch it live. You can go back and watch it after the fact, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Well, now 1.9 million people have it has views. I'm not going to say it's unique watches, but views. 1.9 million views for the first week, 1.7 million for the second week, and here we are. We are less than 12, right at a little over 12 hours. When we're recording this from when that aired, and the third week is at 520,000.
Yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom. I mean, it's not great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it's not the doom and gloom that everybody is painting it out to be. So, and plus, like I said, we talked about this last week. They look like they're having fun. Mm-hmm. And it's something just different. It is a change of pace. And, let's be honest with it. It's a test. They're just trying to see how this works. That's all this is.
Well, you're also, even if, their contract with TV is coming up, they've got a lot more to offer now and a lot more bidding power. Because not only say, we can promote the Facebook and the the TV contract together and let them know on TV when we're going to Facebook. On Facebook when we're going on TV, they're a stronger market. They can turn right back around and use this to say, look, we don't need y'all. We've already got a program on Facebook. So for business-wise, they've just put themselves in a stronger negotiating place with this, and it's brilliant. You know, we don't know where it's going to go yet, but we do know that there's people watching, and that means money. So,
yep. And anytime there's buzz, that's what you need to make money. So, man, let's get to the big news, man. There's an outsider coming in to the wrestling business. The world is abuzz. Everybody's talking about her. It's Kacy Catanzaro from American Ninja Warrior.
Yes. This is the biggest news in wrestling this week, is that Kacy Catanzaro will be coming into the WWE. And I think this is the perfect time for her to do it because her fame is fleeting. The American Ninja Warrior stuff, if she doesn't get this monopolized on it now, it's not going to mean anything anymore. So she's going to be in the right place at the right time. She's going to be phenomenally talented, extremely agile and versatile. Is she your typical wrestler? No. She's more of an Alexa Bliss type, physically. So I think they would probably train her with a similar moveset.
AJ Lee.
AJ Lee. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she's got a really unique opportunity here to cash in on some of that American Ninja Warrior fame before it slides.
Yeah, well, I think the new season's about to start, I believe, coming up soon. My wife loves the show.
My girlfriend does too, and it's like neither one of them can jump from shit to shit.
I don't get it, but I mean, it is cool to watch. Don't get me wrong.
It just makes me tired watching it.
Stephen Amell did it, and he looked pretty badass doing it. So
Stephen Amell is a legit badass.
Yeah. But my comments to her was, before anybody tries to jump out and says, like, well, don't you know she signed in August? Yes, we do. We are aware she signed in August last year. But the everything coming out is like this week she like kicked off. She's really starting to make a push, to make her career happen. And we did, by the way, that whole segment right there was in jest because we were getting to what people are really buzzing about.
Not that we're not excited about that though.
I think it's cool.
Got a good chance. But yeah, you did wordplay on this one.
Yeah, because now we're going to talk about what everybody's really talking about. The woman, the outsider coming in to, rowdy Ronda Rousey debuts at the Royal Rumble, comes out at the end.
Ronda Rousey Royal Rumble.
Can't stop smiling and pointing at the sign.
Yeah, I don't understand what that meant. It's as far as I understood, she's pointing at WrestleMania. I can't understand why they didn't give her a microphone. Unless she's mute.
Maybe she's not ready for it yet. Because now you're going to think about it. You got the pop for seeing her. Now you're going to wait to hear what she has to say.
I really hope it does not go like I've heard it was going to go with her and a partner of her choosing go up against Triple H and Stephanie in some kind of mixed match at WrestleMania.
Well, look,
putting her with Stephanie is a waste.
Well, the big reason I actually like the idea is because, well, first of all, they're talking about the partner of her choosing is that they're trying to get The Rock in there to be her partner. We saw glimpses at a couple years ago, remember, at WrestleMania. Yeah. So to see Rock, Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie, that's the mainstream draw from hell right there. I mean, think about it. That's...
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, you've got Triple H and Stephanie, your WWE stuff, but I mean, Rock, biggest actor, in the world right now, and Ronda Rousey, the name, the draw, that's still there. Dude, that's a money. That's, because we'll get to it in a minute. You got your IWC match locked for WrestleMania at this point to make all the smart marks happy. That's done. Yeah. And like I said, we'll get there. But this is the one that draws the media in. This is the one that's on ESPN. It's on TMZ. Oh, yeah. It's on all the newspapers. So if they can make that match happen, let it happen.
Well, they've said that they're going to have to focus more on the women's division because they have a legitimate, well-recognized athlete now that they can use for push. So if she's working in the women's division and the women's division more push, they're going to put their biggest asset out front right now because she is their biggest asset. They've always wanted crossover, what is the word I'm looking for? The amount of credibility a crossover would give you. And that's what they're going for. And I think they've got it with this one. I think she's going to bring huge things, and they're going to do more and more to work with her. So it's worth a shot to see what's going to happen. I don't want it to come at the detriment of any other women, but if it helps to promote the entire women's division in order to keep her promoted, man, that's a great thing to happen.
Well, that's my argument. That's why you feed her Stephanie out of the gate, because that way you're preserving the life of your, you're not, because think about it this way. If you feed her Asuka and she beats Asuka, you're going to end Asuka's streak at Mania by feeding her to Rousey. If you feed her Charlotte, or do you feed her Bliss? I mean, who do you kill right out of the gate? It's better to feed her.
Tough.
Yeah,
that's
well, that's why I said it's better to feed Stephanie to her.
Now, there's been a lot of women in the WWE out on social media bitching and complaining about Ronda already. It could totally be a work.
It's a work.
It could be negative Nancy's out there, but it looks to me like it's going to be a work, and it's going to be something that's going to be just used to develop storyline, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Have her hated. Have her just the hated person there is.
Let me tell you something. WWE doesn't have anything get out on Twitter from their guys that they don't. If they don't want it, they will take it the hell down.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just saying, it's I get it, because that's been one of the biggest debates for the last few days is, and you brought it up. Did Ronda Rousey steal the spotlight from the other three women in the ring?
It could have, because it was Asuka's great moment, and the tension was so high. You had Charlotte on one side, you had Bliss on the other side. Tensions were high. You were getting that, who will Asuka choose? And then her stuff comes out. Yeah, and they paid. I mean, they paid money for that theme. That is not some kind of Jim Johnson theme they had for her. That's a commercial song. They had to have it come out and get the money for her and pay up. And they're not going to pay big money for an entrance song and get the rights to one if they're not planning on pushing it. So she came out there, she showed up the other two women, and maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're trying to use her to draw and to grind friction on everybody else, so that she stirs up the women's division and stirs up interest in it.
Well, here's my take. Everybody that says, like, oh, she stole the spotlight from Asuka and Charlotte and Alexa Bliss and da-da-da-da. I hate to tell you that she took that spotlight and made it 10 times bigger.
Yeah, well, she did bring a lot more eyes.
Well, because that's my point. Every picture, think about this, every picture that you've seen, it's her, Charlotte, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss in the picture.
Yeah, yeah.
If Ronda Rousey's not standing there, is that picture in the New York Daily Post? Is it in USA Today? Is it on TMZ? Is it on ESPN? No, It's not. Her being in that picture made that picture be seen by millions of more people. So I'm just saying, now I'm not getting into the debate of how great of a wrestler she's going to be or anything. My argument is she took that spotlight and made it so much bigger, and therefore everyone is going to benefit from it. It's not just her benefiting from this.
Well, can you think of anything else that right now is able to draw new eyes onto the product? I mean, I'm not talking about new people becoming wrestling fans. This is going to draw new eyes to look at what's going on. It's going to draw people to watch WWE. It's going to draw people to spend money on things. Her T-shirts released just about the second she made her debut.
Right.
They were on the WWE shop. They're ready for this.
Yeah.
It's a great tool. At one time, she was the biggest thing in the world. Everybody knew who she was.
And people forget. I mean, losses in MMA don't hurt near, what everybody tries to make them out to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some legit. She got beat a couple times. She had a couple bad fights, but those were some bad women that she lost to.
Well, the problem with the two women she lost to is she had that dumbass coach that told her to stand up and try to fight them. And they were boxers, and they beat the shit out of her. Had she kept them on the ground, I think she would have been fine with them.
Well, that's a whole other argument in itself. But my thing is, everybody seems to forget Brock Lesnar's got a few losses. He's got a couple of losses on his record, and we talk about he's the baddest man, in the WWE. Okay,
yeah.
But anyway, I just come from the school of thought of give her a chance. Let's see where they go with it. I mean, because you're right. If it sometimes in this world that we live in, this internet wrestling community, the wrestling community, the bubble that you hear about, we forget that we may think that Asuka's the greatest thing since sliced bread as when it comes to wrestling. I particularly don't, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But outsiders aren't seeing her picture on a thing and going like, "Oh man, I got to watch this." But I guarantee you, if you put Asuka versus Ronda Rousey on a card, guess why people like Joe Schmo are going to watch? Because they want to see Ronda Rousey fight anybody. And then Asuka, if she has a phenomenal match, people might go, "Damn, that bitch is badass." You know what I mean? So therefore, and then now she's got some attention. I guarantee you what, there's that woman on the far left in that picture, Charlotte Flair. Her dad has probably taught her plenty enough to know, take the publicity and wrestle Ronda Rousey. Even in a loss, you can come out a superstar.
Oh God, yeah. Just out of that armbar.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that's going to be her finish, or some form or fashion. But
yeah,
and then everybody who talks about oh my God, is she going to be able to work? Well, give her time. We were pretty. What's the word? We were pretty forgiving on some young women that were down in NXT and that were not quite ready, and they've come a long way. Let's be blunt. Alexa Bliss was not the greatest wrestler in the world when she first started.
No, and not even when she got up onto the main roster.
Right.
She's continued to get better every week, and it'll take that.
Yeah, give her time. My worry is going to be talking, the promo. I mean, because her facials, and I was kind of like, eh. But hey, time. Give it time and let them work with her. The more time she's in front of a crowd and she can get more comfortable, or hell, I joked with my wife. I just looked because she said, "I'm not sure I'm buying it." I was like, "Well, give her Paul Heyman."
Yeah.
Let him manage the two of the most badass, wrestlers in the world as they might build themselves or something. And I said, look, rotate them. If Brock's not there, have Ronda there. And Heyman just stay, he's talking, because it would be hard for him to talk for both in the same night. And I don't mean because he can't do it. I just mean it might throw it a little bit, but from week to week, if he's doing one or the other, I just think that's not a bad fit in my opinion. So
yeah, it's almost like a little faction.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Fight club. No pun intended, right?
TNA's basically been running the same gimmick with that. What is that? Pro Fight USA?
Well, with the Lashley and all those guys, or whatever they were. Yeah, something formerly, but her coming, obviously, that led us into let's talk about the actual Ladies Rumble match itself. Yeah, in my opinion, it was the best match on the card. And I don't mean that it was the best wrestling match. I think, to me, it was the best match on the card. I know everybody would argue that maybe AJ and, Sammy and Kevin Owens and that match was the best, but in my opinion, just me personally, and some even argued Brock Kane, whatever. Now I know our fans voted that the men's was 54%. They said it was the match of the night with the men's Rumble. But I will go still in my heart. What was yours? Did you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agreed fully. The women's match was my highlight. It was something new I'd never seen before. They brought back big names. It takes a lot to get that many big name stars to come back, and to come back and let the new talent put them over. I mean, get themselves over onto the backs of the old stars. That's great, man. A lot of people wouldn't want to do that. Can you imagine saying, Austin, come back. We need one of these new kids to beat you. Jason Jordan needs to beat you in a match so he can go over.
Well, the exception is, and when you talk about a Rumble, you can get eliminated from a Rumble and it's not a loss.
Yeah.
So you're always protected in a Rumble. But let me, because I want to kind of run them off real quick, and then we'll come back and discuss them all. The women's, we knew they were going to have to bring back or bring up either a lot of women from NXT or a lot of surprises. Now, we're not going to get into NXT call-ups, or the ones that they had in the match, because they were roster people. But as far as literally, retired legends or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we had, because I won't even call the Bellas because they technically, Nikki was on the poster, right?
I can't remember.
I think Nikki was on the poster. Could be right,
Nikki's Dynamite.
But, Tori Wilson, Kelly, Vicky Guerrero, Molly Holly, a big, huge fan favorite for this spot. Michelle McCool, Jackie, and how good did Beth Phoenix look, man? Jesus.
Beth Phoenix looked terrific. She was a bruiser. God, I would love to see her wrestle right now.
That's what we were thinking. And it was funny. Even my daughter who was watching it with me, Caitlin, she said, she was like, she could wrestle now. And like,
she picked Nia Jax up.
Scary crazy. And then of course everybody, Lita and Trish. How good did Trish look?
Trish looked great as far as everything. I'm not even talking about her appearance. I'm talking about how she looked in the ring, how crisp she was, how good a shape she was. Lita was great, but Lita did not look like she was as comfortable as she used to be, or as comfortable in the match as she should have been. She was a little bit of a slow worker. She didn't really, she was rusty. She hadn't been in the ring in a long time. I don't know what her physical training's like. So maybe it took her a while. Trish didn't do the whole thing where she tried to do anything super fancy though. Lita went for her typical giant showy super moves, and that takes a lot more work than what Trish came in there and did.
Yeah. And it's funny because she did the double stratisfaction, but of course, guess what? You've got two people picking you up to help you bounce off the ropes and then hit the thing, so much assistance. And let me ask you, because I'm going to give out the fan vote here in a minute, but who was your favorite out of all of the surprises?
I had to go with Trish. Even though I'm a huge Lita fan, for some reason, Lita did not, she just didn't get me on this one. She looked like she wasn't her time, Trish looked great. Trish performed great. So I had to give it to her, even though I was really super psyched about Molly Holly. The whole thing was great, though. The whole thing was great.
And, the fans basically agreed with you. We put a poll up. Trish was 46%. Lita was 27%. Yeah. Michelle McCool got 11%. And then, of course, we had other where people could kind of write in, reply their vote. Mm-hmm. And that got 16%. And a huge chunk of that was Molly Holly. And to be honest with you, had Molly Holly been like a actual choice, she probably would have she probably would have beaten Michelle McCool. I just assumed because Michelle McCool eliminated 5 people that she might get a vote. But of course, some people were backlashing her on Twitter and Facebook, who would have thought, right? Saying that you can clearly tell she's Undertaker's wife because she looks so strong throughout the match. So.
Well, yeah, whatever. They got to keep their big names over. They got to keep Taker happy. He's money,
dude. It doesn't matter. It's the Rumble. We'll get into the.
It doesn't mean anything except for the winner,
right?
And that's all predetermined. It's, to me, the Rumble is just about watching a bunch of people who typically never get to fight each other, get matches in, and get to work with each other and do different things. You see your old-time favorites. You see your novelty people. You see your current best stars. Well, it's exciting for me.
It's moments. It's kind of like WrestleMania moments. And in the Rumble, that's what it is. It was moments of, we got to see, think about it, we got to see Trish and Mickey face off. Mm-hmm. A blast from the past. You got to see, Brie Bella get eliminated by Nikki.
Yep.
Which was a cool spot, I thought. Which, that of course left it down to the end to where it was, her and Asuka, eliminates her.
Yep.
But then some other cool moments that and this is just kind of the kid in me, I guess, that looks at it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when I watch these Rumbles, I'm always like, how cool is it to be working with somebody who you idolized growing up?
Oh, God,
in a match. When you see Bayley, locking up with Trish or with Lita or somebody like that, somewhere inside of her, there's a 12-year-old kid just totally marking out in the corner. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of stuff is just cool to me. And that's
And when you start hearing the thing counting down the final 10, and everybody in the whole arena is staring off to see who's coming in next. That level of excitement is just wonderful. I love that. I love that. Everybody waiting to see who's coming in. And then you look at that ramp and try to figure out who it is by the first two notes of their music. And then you see them, and it's all exciting. It's like, oh, man, I can't believe they're here. That's what I love about the Rumble.
Yeah, it's always about the surprises. And that's what, we're going to move on to the men's Rumble. And that's kind of what was a little bit of a letdown this year. Because, again, I'm going to follow the same rules. I had more names listed. But if you take out everybody who was in NXT, who they brought in, and you're only doing outsides, I mean, you really had two. You had Helms and Rey Mysterio. Hurricane Helms and Rey Mysterio. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it just, Rey looked phenomenal, by the way. I don't know if you agree.
Great shape. Rey's in great shape. Well, he looked in great shape. I don't know if he could do the whole, the whole schedule, the 52-week schedule, 52 weeks a year. So there's no days off. He doesn't want to do full time, but he came out and looked dynamite in the Rumble. Helms, we just saw him at WrestleCade. He's great. Very personable guy. It's good to see him come out like that and just really get people's attention. So I think this is cool. You get two guys who you remember, and they were both mask-wearing, super gimmick guys, worked in WCW, worked in WWE. You got guys who were around and did a lot of things and were big names back in the day, and now they got to come over and play with the new guys. And that's cool to me, to see Rey Mysterio dropping 619s on the current roster guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the stuff I mean when I talk about, like, the idols,
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio hitting that double, 619, and
yeah.
They're both sitting there like smiling, like I'm about to get hit with a 619, you know, kind of thing. And Helms, how the character, he basically relived that moment from years ago, and in the Rumble. Rey's a former winner for that matter, so it wasn't like and they made him look strong. I'll give them that for a one-off. They made him look strong, so. But, so really, I mean, and I had Almas in there as a, and then I had, Adam Cole as a pick. So I put the fan vote out there, and it wasn't even close. Mm-hmm. Rey got 64% of the votes. Helm got 17, Almas 14, and other was 5. So clearly,
well, that's the thing on that. Almas got a great match the night before. Adam Cole had a great match the night before. They got to bring him out there. And give them a little payback, get them some exposure. More people are going to watch the Rumble than any of the NXT stuff, which is sometimes a bad idea because the NXT takeovers are phenomenal shows.
I'm going to cut you right. I'm going to ask you because I know you watched it already. We talked about it. The Johnny Gargano's Almas match. People putting up that it was best match on the card, possibly match of the year, and possibly the best match they've ever seen, ever. What was your take on that?
It was a good match. I'm not the kind of person that can grade a match, greatest match of the year, greatest match ever, because I've seen so damn many matches. There's matches that I saw 20 years ago that I don't even remember, that were good. There's matches, you can't, to me, I can't quantify a match as the best match ever because there's a lot of matches I haven't seen. There's a lot of matches that would be objective. It was in a place where it was the best match on a card that made, the rest of the card made the match look good. So I thought it was a good match. I can't say it was the best match ever. I thought they did a wonderful job. But greatest match of all time, that's not really my thing. Is it going to be the kind of match that would make people want to watch NXT TakeOver? Because to me, there's always just about every Big Four time, there's an NXT TakeOver match that is the match of the year, the best match ever. Think about it. Every NXT TakeOver has at least one major match on a super strong card, and everybody's like, it's the match of the year. This is the best match ever. It's Revival and DIY. Or it's the War Games match. something for everybody. So I can't really say, yes, this is the greatest match ever. But it was good, and those guys looked good, and I really did not think that much of Almas coming into that match, but I thought he was dynamite in the match. So,
yeah. Well,
it's a good candidate for being a really match, and that's the way I look at it.
Well, if you want to hear Lewis's take on it, because Lewis broke down the whole pay-per-view, on the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast, the Ring of Honor NXT edition, which airs on Sundays at 7:05 p.m. Go back and check it out, because it literally aired this past Sunday. Go back and download that episode in the archives and hear what he had. He broke it down, like I said, in more detail than we ever do. That's the cool thing about, in my opinion, that's the cool thing about the Pro Wrestling Personified. He drops down into the matches per card and breaks it down for you a little more in depth than we do. We cover the big topics and everything across the board, so definitely go back and check out, because he will break that match down for you. But now let's talk about the heavy hitters on the Rumble match. Kane versus Brock versus Braun. I really only have one note about this. Those three monsters just demolished that ringside and everything about it. But hands down, everything everybody's talking about is the knee that Braun put to Brock. Clearly rocked him and pissed Brock off, because then he apparently jumped up and he just clocked Braun in the head. I mean, just punched him square in the head. And supposedly now everybody's out there, they bleeped it out, but it was basically he yelled at him to slow the fuck down. So we all know that Brock doesn't like to be hit. Yeah. For real. Oh, yeah. So. Well,
I mean, I was sliding through Facebook, and I just saw a video of the pop that Brock laid on Braun, and it was brutal. Yeah, you can see it on the other side of his head,
Not only can you see his head jar and his whole, shake, you could see for a split second he tries to stay up and doesn't, and he goes down to his knees. I mean, he literally tagged him. I mean, that was I guess he just, like I said, he didn't like to be hit, but the match was very good. We all know Kane was put in there to protect both guys.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if Braun doesn't wrestle Brock at WrestleMania, they're making a mistake. I think easily, hands down, Braun is more, I don't want to say he's more over, because maybe that's not the right word. I mean, but I just think the fans have jumped on board with him, and I know they're getting the backlash of Roman. Put it on him. Let Braun be the guy to take out Brock.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. This is something they've got already just sewn up. This is a dynamite match. It's a match that's already there. And the way they built it with Kane in there to basically act as a buffer to keep the two of them guys from having to go down. You don't take the belt off Brock. You don't make Braun look like a loser. And you keep his massive, monster gimmick going. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. They're going to have him set up, and this should be the Mania main event, in my opinion. Should be Braun and Brock.
Well, you're going to, and that's kind of they always talk about main eventing. The winner of the Rumble gets to main event it for the heavyweight title. So my question becomes, now we have two. You have Asuka winning the women's. She gets to challenge either woman, whether it be Bliss or whether it be Charlotte, who then we find out, which we're about to get into when we talk about Raw and SmackDown real fast, because we were running long on the show, which we knew we would. But Shinsuke wins the men's. He has since challenged AJ Styles and that's the match that I referred to earlier when I said the internet marks got their wish. They're getting their match there, so let them have it. Does that main event the pay-per-view? Because if you don't, does that mean you're going to have Asuka main event? With the push the women are getting and the amount of attention they're getting, maybe they will main event. They just main evented one of the big four. Okay, here's my thing, and this goes back to, I'm going to make people laugh. I walked us here, a very long process to get us to what I wanted to say. The only way Asuka is main eventing, and look, and it's not a knock on Asuka. The only way Asuka's main eventing WrestleMania is if she's standing across from Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Just my personal opinion. But anyway, the reason why I was going there is because obviously they've funneled with Shinsuke winning. We've got to have a way to get to a match at Mania for the Universal title. And what they've decided to do is they're doing this Elimination Chamber match to determine the number one contender. And they're qualifying on Raw. And just real quick, because we don't ever do match by match. Braun defeated Kane, Elias defeated Matt Hardy, and John Cena defeated Finn Balor to qualify, if you will, for the Elimination Chamber.
So this is where he earns his match.
Exactly. Braun runs through because could you beat him can you imagine how much destruction he's going to be able to do inside of an Elimination Chamber match?
Yeah, that's going to be dynamite.
By the way, the spot where somebody goes through plexiglass or whatever it is on those things, you can chalk that one up. That's a Braun Strowman moment. But then kind of off subject, John Cena defeating Finn Balor on Raw.
Yeah.
Playing I'm sorry, it's all about going to WrestleMania, kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are pissed.
Marks are pissed. They don't know what to do with him, Finn Balor. They just do not know where to put him. They don't know if he's a cruiserweight. They don't know if they should book him strong. They don't know if they want to book him in a tag team or a faction. They don't know, where he's going to go. And he doesn't talk that well. He doesn't look intimidating. He's one of those quantities that they have, and they knew exactly how to make it work in NXT, and they had the good thing going, but they don't know how to book him up on the big show. So he's kind of getting a back. And hell, Cena is money on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view versus Braun, and you're going to get a couple more big names in there. It seems like he's a little boy playing with the big boys in their opinions.
Maybe.
That's the way they look at him.
Maybe. I agree with that. And then, man, just a real quick note I wanted to throw before we hit, because there's a big match we wanted to talk about. It was cool to see Miz defeat Roman. Hopefully that kind of just gets, we need to get Roman away from the Intercontinental belt. Yeah. The further distance he can put away, the better. Unless, I know this sounds crazy, unless you're going to give Braun the push and put the Universal title on him, and you want to, you got to have Roman doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to keep him in there and he'll feud with Miz, I can live with that. They've had some good matches. They've
done real well. They've done real well for him, and I kind of like that.
So maybe
what this has been going on.
But match of the night on Raw, everybody's talking about. I'm not saying it was the best match on the. A lot of people thought they tore the house down. Sasha confronts Asuka. They have this match, and phenomenal match it was, in my opinion. I really liked the match. Only disclaimer is in there is I've said this for over a year. Someone has to have Sasha stop that dive.
Yeah.
We've seen her on a couple of occasions damn near kill herself doing that move. And I think it's time for an agent to pull her aside and go, it's time to stop.
Well, I don't know whether she was anticipating that kick or what, but when she caught her feet, that could have ended really badly. We've seen it end badly when somebody catches their feet going through a ropes.
Oh, yeah. At a local indie show, we saw a dude's head split like a melon.
And it sounded like a melon. That was the scary part. It hit that concrete floor, and it was like, flop. It was not pretty.
Yeah, but we've seen it with Sasha. She overdove on, I can't remember the show. It might have even been a Raw. She dove on Charlotte, and she overshot, and she literally landed like on her shoulders and her neck and folded over. And I'm like, dude, we've seen this happen with Lita. This is just a bad idea. And I know.
I'm going to go ahead and say it, man. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Sasha is a little sloppy. She's not. I'm not blaming her for hurting Paige like some people did. I'm just saying she's not as crisp as some of the other workers. She misses stuff.
The match was phenomenal. I don't knock her that. I just have the argument of, it's the same argument with the Charlotte moonsault.
Oh God, that's so scary.
Don't do it on, when you're on Raw. I get, they want to do it. They're on national television or, whatever, but I'm like, there's some nights it's not worth it because people are missing and dive. I mean, you pick your spots. I mean, that's a WrestleMania moment or a big, Rumble moment.
Exactly. It's like Ike, when we saw Ike on a mid card on a $6 show, do that dive he did, up in Cornelia and scared the shit out of me. And he just comes over and he flips over the top. And his head, when he hits the guy, his head's maybe a foot off the ground, upside down. Scared the hell out of me. It's like, save that stuff for the big pops. I'm not saying, save your paralysis for pay-per-view, but if you're going to be throwing that move around anyway, just pull it back to when it actually has some impact. Make it something big.
Yeah. So, but
that's just me.
Yeah, but other than that, they tore the freaking house down, and I thought the match was phenomenal. So, at least somebody's pushed Asuka on Raw because she hasn't really been pushed, before now, really. But
her and Nia Jax is a solid match. I want to see that again sometime.
Oh yeah, but they've done that dance before, so they're used to it. Yeah. And then to wrap up the week, man, SmackDown was pretty uneventful overall.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Rusev, he's over, dude. With the Philly crowd, if nothing else, he wins a 4-way to wrestle Bobby Roode next week for the U.S. champion, and we all remember Rusev had a good run as the U.S. champion last time.
Yeah.
So
Rusev is a good guy. I mean, Rusev is underrated as a wrestler. He's a great worker. He's very powerful. He's very fluid for a man his size. He moves well. His weakness is the microphone, but they've got him with a mouth. So, I mean, he is positioned to do well in the company and can do very well in the company. I would like to see this continue. The Rusev Day gimmick to me is annoying, but it's super over.
Right.
I don't have to like it to understand that this is a gimmick that's over and this is a gimmick they're going to push for a while.
Why it's pushed? They're selling a calendar.
Now they've got a calendar?
A Rusev Day calendar. So it ain't going away.
No, that's 365 days of Rusev Day.
That's it. 365 Rusev days. Exactly. But hey, I don't know that he's beating Bobby Roode real quick to take that belt off of him next week, but we'll find out next week.
Yeah.
But of course, the big news out of SmackDown was the continuation of the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn drama with AJ Styles. But of course, with exactly. I mean, now it looks as though this is coming to an end. And I'm not saying it is, but it looks like it could be, because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are actually going to wrestle each other next week with a whole lot of drama that went down, to decide who will face AJ Styles at Fastlane before WrestleMania, he will then face Shinsuke Nakamura. Any interest? No.
Right now, I'm sorry, and it's bad. But every time I see Kevin Owens, I tune out. Doesn't matter. I mean, even with AJ, it's like I don't even want to watch this shit because he does that whining bit, and it gets on my nerves. I don't enjoy it right now.
I like it. I mean, I'm okay with the storyline. The only thing that I sit there and say, and I know we always say predictable is not always bad, which it's not. AJ ain't losing that belt before Mania, or if he is, he's getting it back before Mania because that AJ Styles Nakamura match is, like I said, it's the gift to the IWC to all. Let's be honest with you, and it was funny. I made a comment. There were so many people happy with the Rumble. Do you know why? Because it was all over the internet because Asuka and Shinsuke won.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon, Triple H, whoever made those decisions, gave you exactly what you wanted, and then all was right in the world except for Ronda Rousey stealing the spotlight.
He gave you what you wanted, but not when you wanted it. He drug you on and made you keep watching until he gave you your nugget. He gave you your little treat, and then he jacked you with the Ronda Rousey thing, and he pissed you off, and he made you want to watch it more. It's like playing in a carnival, man. You know, where no, you can buy 5 darts for $1, and you keep doing this, you keep wind up buying darts, you're $20 out, you know what the hell, you've got to shoot a little prize and you go home. And he's worked us. He's made us, he's gave us what we want when he wanted to give it to us, and then gave us something we wanted but made us pissed off about it with the Ronda Rousey thing. Perfect booking. Perfect booking. Keeps everything just ready to go, keeps you wanting to watch it. I couldn't have been happier with the results across the board with the whole thing. So it worked out well for everybody. It worked out great for wrestling fans. It gave you a complete show. You didn't hear anybody bitching about how long it went. That's the one thing I didn't hear on this. 4-hour pay-per-view, nobody said it was too long. They've said that about every other pay-per-view.
Because they gave you the match you wanted at the end as well.
Yeah. So I can't complain about the pay-per-view at all.
I don't know. I mean, I get it. I mean, I know you have the right to complain about it, but I don't know why you would. There wasn't really, I didn't think a whole lot to complain about.
No. Mm-mm.
At the ultimate end of it all, but,
The stuff that anybody would complain about is the stuff they set you up to complain about. They give you something to complain about to keep you interested. It's mixed feelings and all that, and the emotional roller coaster that makes people want to continue to watch. Right.
So anyway,
I thought it was solid.
I agree with you. Good week in wrestling overall, I thought, in my opinion. But man, before we get out of here, anything you got to plug? I've got one thing to plug, but anything you got?
Well, Saturday night up in Cornelia, Southern Fried will be at the Landmark Arena. If you've never seen a Southern Fried show, and if you've never been to the Landmark Arena, you can knock out 2 birds with one stone. It's a great show in a great place. It'll be a lot of fun. Come out and see us. I'll be there because I just can't get enough of it. I really tell you, if you're in the North Georgia area or if you're in Atlanta, make the drive up from Atlanta. Trust me, it's worth it. To get to see one of the best promotions and one of the best venues for wrestling, a historic venue with the hot promotion. Check this out, folks. Saturday night, Southern Fried. Look them up at their Facebook page at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. You can find them there on Twitter too. And get out to see this show because it'll be a really good show. A lot of fun. A lot of people from Monroe going to try to be there too. So it's. I love to see Charles expanding his audience.
Well, and not to mention, by the way, on Tuesday, we dropped an interview with JB Enterprises' Jagged Edge.
Yes.
So you definitely go back in the archives. That's hyping that show. So definitely go back and check out that interview. It's pretty cool. Although we have to talk about your integrity sometimes, man, when you get around those guys.
It's a working relationship. If you're in a position where you are getting hot news that is absolutely exclusive to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, sometimes you have to compromise things.
Not your morals, not your principles.
I'm a journalist.
Not your integrity.
I would never compromise my journalistic integrity. But there are times where my standing with JB Enterprises helps me produce shows that have content that no one else can get. And exclusive stuff that no one else, I know it's nothing for as popular as JB Enterprises are. They do other podcasts, but I get the best stuff because of the rapport I have with them. And in the business, there are times where you have to do whatever it takes to bring your listeners the best story. And I am totally committed to my listeners. I'm totally committed to all of our fans. And this is something I do, not just for the reward I get from JB Enterprises or anything I get. I do it to bring these people the best, most exclusive news stories for indie wrestling in Georgia. And when you listen to the shows, you can tell my level of commitment and how much I love everyone. And the people at JB Enterprises, to me, they represent the pinnacle of wrestling knowledge. And that's what I like to share with our listeners.
Well, speaking of wrestling knowledge, I'm going to go ahead and plug It's Wednesday. Our show drops at 7:05 at 9 p.m. on the YouTube channel for the Wrestler Weekly. I get our shows combined, right? Wrestler Weekly. I recorded a show where we discussed Georgia wrestling, including some indie stuff, but a lot of old school. We're talking like 70s, 80s wrestling in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So Scotty was cool, had me on. We talked about, like I said, that some old school wrestling. Going through some old programs and magazines and stuff like that he's got.
Oh, nice.
So go on to YouTube and check him out, Wrestler Weekly. Subscribe to Scotty's channel. It's pretty cool. Like, especially if you're an old school fan, it's really cool. And by the way, one of the last questions I'm going to tease is he asked me to give him a couple names from a local Georgia talent who I think is going to be a big star down the road. And I do drop him 3 names. I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to hear who those 3 names are, check out Wrestler Weekly on YouTube and subscribe and hear that episode that drops tonight at 9 p.m. It's Wednesday 9 p.m. So if you're listening to this Thursday or whatever, go back and get it. It'll already be there.
I really like what Scotty does.
It's cool.
I really like his programming. He is doing something really cool. And y'all got to check this guy out and check out his work. He has a collection of wrestling memorabilia that is second to none. So y'all need to look him up. Look up that.
Definitely check him out. And while you're checking things out, when you're on your computer, go to tappedoutpod.com. We tell you to go there because what we want you to do is we want you to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, all the Stitcher. We're on all the things that are available, iHeartRadio, all of the above. The players there, you can listen right on the website, but we always say subscribe. It makes it easier, especially on your phone. And the reason why we want you to do that is so you catch all of the shows that drop. Sunday, Monday, 7:05. You got the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. Ring of Honor NXT on Sunday, Impact Wrestling on Monday. We always run an exclusive interview on Tuesdays. Wednesday, of course, is us, Wrestling News Weekly. And then Thursday, we usually double dose you down. We got the Gorilla Press covering the WWE product. And then, of course, we usually drop an interview on Thursday as well. Most shows are 7:05, except for the interview on Thursday. Typically it's at 12:05 noon. Since we're doing a double dose that day, but always tappedoutpod.com has the whole schedule for the whole week that's on there. Lets you know who, interviews, who they are, what times they're, all that good stuff. And then of course we always tell you, support all of our sponsors and friends on the page. Check all that good stuff. And if you got any comments or questions, anything like that, shoot us a message at tappedoutpod as the DM on Twitter, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network on Facebook. Like I said, Tapped Out Pod is pretty much your key to find us anywhere. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. You can send us an email as well. And man, I got nothing else, man. That ran everything for me. You got anything else?
No, we've hit a lot of topics out here, folks. If there's any questions you got, just hit us up, man. We'll talk.
Well,
I always like to talk wrestling.
If we're done, what time is it?
It's time to tap out, man.